Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And today I'd like to show you how I made this card. This is, again, using this beautiful stamp set that you can get for free during sale of Bration through Stampin' Up! And it is called Heartfelt Blooms, and I just can't stop playing with it. I'm having so much fun with it. So I did one last week where I stamped all over, and I decided this time what I was going to do is feature the stamp set. So in this case, I'm changing up just a couple of things. I am changing my color scheme. So in order to do this, you need a piece of Very Vanilla that is 8.5 by 5.5 scored and folded at 4 1/4. Then you need another piece of Very Vanilla that measures 3 1/4 by 4 1/2. And then I'm going to do this one in Melon Mambo. I've done several of them in the darker colors, and I thought it might be kind of fun to do one in a lighter color. So this piece of Melon Mambo is 5 inches by 3 3/4. Then you need a scrap of the Very Vanilla because we're going to punch out this flower and fussy cut it. And the other stamp set that I am using is another of my favorites called Background Bits, and it's a hostess set, and it's got this pretty script and this little I don't know what it is, just a little pattern here, and I'm using these two stamps out of this set. And so let's just go ahead and get started. We're going to do almost all of our work on this piece of card right here. So I'm going to bring in a pretty large piece of scratch paper here. Excuse me. And the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be working in Melon Mambo ink. And I have my large flower stamp mounted here. And you'll see this is actually very quick doing this particular card because there's so few layers and the drama is the flower, so we don't need a lot of other embellishments. And I've made one with thinking of you. I've used the thank you, so this time I thought I would use sending heartfelt thoughts, so maybe we'll use that one this time. Okay, so let me just ink this up again, make sure. And since that Heartfelt Thoughts runs right along the bottom, where I'm going to put this is sort of at the top and maybe angled up just a bit. And this panel on the one that I'm making now is quite a bit smaller than this one. I decided that showing a little bit more of the background color in the back is really very attractive. So let's see how we did here. Oh, isn't that pretty? There we go. We've got our piece done. And what I have here is the script for the background bits. And I'm going to stamp that off several times so that what I have left is just the faintest bit of the words left on the stamp, just to kind of bring the color down a bit. And you could do this before you do the stamping of the flower, but it doesn't make much difference. If you stamp it light enough, it doesn't show at all. And so there's that one. And then I also want to take this little pattern and do the same thing. I want to stamp off and stamp off and stamp off until I just have ever so slight a piece of that stamp on here. There we go. Perfect. All right. Then I did use a sponge, and I did go around the edge of the card. In this case, it was Elegant Eggplant. So I'm going to do that now. I'm going to just get a little definition around the end here. This is such a bright color that I don't want too much of it. There we go. All right. Now, for the stamping, what I also did when I left more area to be seen is that I did put these little background stamp pieces kind of around the edge of the card that might show. And again, stamping off a bunch of times here just to get a little hint of the pattern here. And then the same thing with my little pattern stamp here. There we go. Perfect, because the card itself will end up covering up an awful lot of that. So next I need, let's see, in my piece of scrap, I need to get the main flower here stamped down on my piece of scrap. There we go. And let's see, one more thing. On the inside of the card, what I did was I put an image of this flower on the inside, and I'm just going to stamp off once and put that image down here on the bottom. There we go. All right, so now let's see, I think that's all of the stamping I'm going to do. Now on this one, I'll speed it up, but what I'm going to do is just fussy cut this little flower out, and I will be back with you in a... Okay, there we go. And on the other flowers that I've done, I've just gone around the edge. I'm not even going to re-ink my sponge, just to take, put a little bit of definition on the edge and to cover up any of that very vanilla that might show. Okay, there we go. Now, we're almost to the point of assembly. I guess, let's see, I guess there is one more thing. I need to stamp that sentiment. So I'm going to use this other stamp that's in this set, and I'll do a practice one here. Good idea, since that's upside down. But there we go. Sending heartfelt thoughts. And so I'm just going to run that. Let me just see one more time. Sending heartfelt thoughts. Very nice. Okay, so I think that one is now done. Okay, so what I did with the fussy cut flower is that I colored it in Wink of Stella. And that darkens up the ink just a bit. And then I used a couple of dimensionals. And then set that in place over the top of the flower. That's, doesn't matter. It's kind of hard to even figure out where to cut out on that one, just because it's hard to find the definition of the edges, but that works just fine. And then I'm going to layer this piece, and I might have done that before I put my flower on, but it'll work, on my piece of Melon Mambo here, centering that the best I can. There we go. And then layering that on our card. And those layers I left flat so that the drama would be the little flower that's on here. And I'm setting that in the center of my card base here. There we go. And then I have to decide what kind of gem I want to put on this one. Maybe I will just use a gold faceted gem. One large one for the center. And a couple of these smaller ones just kind of dotting around the card. And that is our card project. Isn't that fast? It's amazing just doing the one flower in the center and then fussy cutting out. It's so simple, and yet very, very pretty. I misstamped this little piece down here, so I'm going to have to see. I have a mask. I might be able to mask and re-ink that piece down there, but I'll do something with it. And on this one, what I did was I used Wink of Stella on that main flower. So I could go back and do that. And I thought what I wanted to do also was just show you some of the other iterations of this that I have done. This one is on Sahara sand with a soft suede back and a black back. Then this one, which I think is my favorite, this one is done on a crumb cake base and a crumb cake panel. And then I used the little, I had some left from the now retired, unfortunately, black rhinestones. But isn't that pretty? And so there's that one. And then I made a version in navy blue as well. And I just love the stamp and the set and the whole idea of this thing. It's just beautiful. We made this in a class just this weekend. We made this purple one down here, and I really do have to say this is the one we made together today, that my favorite is still this one. So everything that you see here can be purchased on my 24/7 shop, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. And if you don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator. And or you could join my team. It's a particularly wonderful time of the year to join Stampin' Up. There's extra incentives in the form of 2 additional stamp sets of your choice from any of the live catalogs this month. And some of those stamp sets are, you know, anywhere from $17 to $27. So depending on which ones you get, you really could add a good $50 to what you get for joining Stampin' Up and get yourself up into that over $200 range for joining this time of year. And I'd love to have you on my team. And that's it for me today. A quick and simple project, and I think very, very pretty. On the inside of this card, I used, I don't know if you can see that, I'll bring it up, some of those little iridescent glittered epoxy little dots to mimic almost like water droplets on the flower. Isn't that pretty? Anyway, thanks once again for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I do truly appreciate it. And if you, like I said, don't already have a demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, and or you could join my team. So thanks a lot, and I'll be back soon with more projects and more cards. Bye!